Welcome to the Sandler Training Hour. You're with Jim and Jason Stevens. And this week, Jim, one of the things that's been top of mind for me is how do we connect this idea of being more intentional into something that is actionable? There's always that quote that floats around, which is we judge others by their outcomes and ourselves by our intentions. And I think that there's a lot of truth to that. But when we understand what our intentions are, it ends up being this ephemeral thing that is amorphous and floating around in our heads. And so I wanted to talk through maybe some actual examples of where intention can meet action. And the first one that I use daily that works well for me is a devotional. So are you familiar with those, Jim?
Yeah, yeah. Like
So yeah, go ahead.
devotionals that help you get your head screwed on straight.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm using the Daily Stoic. Most people that I talk to use some form of a religious text if they're familiar with devotionals ever in the
Yeah,
past.
yeah.
So I know that you've used those. Why don't you give us some context or con around that and what it has done for you and maybe how it lives in your mind?
Yeah, I equate this to really, are you setting, is there a rudder for the day that you put in place that's going to help you make sure you get from where you are at the beginning of the day to where you want to be at the end of the day?
Yeah.
And that rudder is really brain training, right? It's getting my, I use the frame, getting my head screwed on straight, but it's really
Mhm.
what are the intentions clearly defined that I have for today? And many people will build those intentions around their goals. So
Yeah.
I have a couple of clear goals, and part of my daily intention is what am I going to do today that's going to make me the person I want to be, right?
Yeah.
So asking that question and having that conversation with myself in the beginning of the day, and what are the top five things that are non-negotiable that I want to accomplish today. That can be a structural, but it's just having that clarity of purpose that gives you something outside of yourself to think about. From a spiritual perspective, it might be, how do I live my life in such a way that I am the example I want other people to be?
Yeah.
I have a daily devotional that is called, um, what is it? It's something like Emotions Anonymous, or
Oh, interesting.
it follows the AA model, but it's about how do I. It's based in Stoicism. It's how do I avoid being emotionally hooked, and it just like that devotional. It's a two paragraphs that is going to paint a picture of, look, this may happen today, and if it does, this is what you might want to do about it. And
Yeah.
just reading that makes you think, oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah. Well, and so that's where I want to hone in on because reading it will let you think that's a great idea, but you also would not have considered that idea without reading it. And therefore, when you decided how you're going to approach your day, it would be on a whim of how you might have felt coming out of yesterday or how you slept. And if you leave your options based on hope that, like, I hope I wake up well or I hope I sleep well, and then you have no alternative way to approach not sleeping well, you're leaning into this idea that, well, I can bounce back at some point tomorrow. And if your bounce back takes until about noon or 1 o'clock, yeah, that kind of works, but it doesn't really get you any momentum toward a positive space. And if you like show up for work at noon, but you get to work at 7, you've still got this gap of time that is just you living in your head and not getting a lot done. So I love this concept of devotional, and I like that you took it to this allows us to ground our intentions in what we're trying to accomplish. So one of the use cases we use with assessments, which or with this idea of devotionals, is assessments. We use psychometric assessments like Harbor and extended disc to get people familiar with how what their competencies look like, but also how they can give other people home court advantage. And so take it out of the Harbor assessment, if you take a competency like criticism tolerance, and I'm interacting with someone who's sensitive to criticism. 9 times out of 10, it's not a surprise to them when I let them know that they're scoring sensitive to criticism. They can give me specific examples of what it
Yeah.
looks like.
Yeah.
and they know that they should respond to criticism differently. So their knowledge of their criticism tolerance often is weaponized as a reason to beat themselves up after they respond poorly to criticism. Their criticism tolerance only reminds them of their ineptness.
Yeah.
Now, if we wanted to like build a picture or a plan on how can I get better at criticism tolerance if this is a weak point for me, I go back to this idea of a devotional. Like, would your personal devotional be that would take you 30 seconds to a minute to read out loud and ground yourself about what you could potentially do different? Because you might not expect to receive criticism every day for the next 2 weeks, but you can know you might experience criticism once. So if you read a plan to deal with criticism differently every day for the next 2 weeks, does it increase or decrease the likelihood that you will, in fact, adjust your response when experiencing criticism?
I think it's the essence of programming, right?
Yeah.
We are today the sum total of who we have been programmed to be.
Yeah.
It doesn't, I don't think it even matters what your current age is. You have lived a life of one self-fulfilling prophecy after another.
Yeah.
And if you continue on a course that is generally speaking passive, that course is going to lead you to a future that you may not have chosen, but you did choose by not taking action.
Right.
And what Jason is suggesting is, how do I interrupt the pattern of living my life in autopilot and
Mm.
shift from autopilot to awareness, and then take that awareness beyond, okay, now I know and I have a club to beat myself, and make it into actual change. And that's why in Sandler we're big on building talk tracks, on building affirmations. You know, an affirmation around criticism tolerance might be, I recognize that there are areas that I need to improve and I want help. The best help I can get is from someone else giving me feedback. So I'm eager to hear what they may say. And when I hear something, rather than feeling attacked or defensive, my heart response is going to be to lean in with curiosity and say, wow, that's interesting. Tell me more. So that little
Yeah.
soundtrack, uh, read out loud every day. That's that mini rudder I'm talking about that would set your intention, so that if feedback comes that's negative, rather than defaulting to my consistent response, which is defensiveness, shut down, I don't listen. Later, I think about it. I rehearse why I was right, why they're
Mhm.
wrong, and then I don't grow. And what
Yeah.
it ends up doing is that self-fulfilling prophecy keeps me anchored in self-criticism instead of breaking out of self-criticism into personal growth.
Yes. And personal growth is the moment that we all want to hit. The question is, are we planning on hitting personal growth by virtue of occupying space and time long enough? Or are we actually putting out a plan that's going to allow us to accomplish what we want to do? And that's really where we need to highlight this week. It's what does your plan look like? And if you continue to do what you're doing today and tomorrow based on your intentions, will you get better results? Go back to that Stoic uh, devotional that I do. I think one of the ones was last month was the reminder from Marcus Aurelius. Instead of choosing to be a good person today, you instead choose to be a good person tomorrow, which is something that should resonate for all of us. It rings true. There are times where you think, oh, today's not the day that I should start changing. Tomorrow would be a better day to be different than who I am today. And it all falls back to, in order to be different than you are, in order to be the future Jason that I want different, I have to be that future Jason today. I may not have all of the things that that future Jason will have, or all of the knowledge that he will have, but the only way that I can get there, get that knowledge, get those things, whatever it is, have those relationships, is by changing what I'm doing today and controlling that. Because really, if you take this and stack it on the BAT triangle, which is the success triangle we use in Sandler, behavior isn't what you intend to do, it's what you actually do.
Did.
Yeah. So if you're not managing that, then you've really got a low lift opportunity to get better results. And if you're not currently doing something like a devotional to start your day and to say, here's where I'm coming from, here's what I want, then that's also a really easy lift. So that's a starting point to get better results. And I just lean into it. The worst case is you try something like this for a month and it doesn't work, in which case you can put it off. But if there's like one thing that you'd like to adjust, do your research to figure out what is a couple of paragraphs that really resonate with me say, and then start your day by reading that. That is the thing that moves the needle more than anything else is awareness and perception. So if we increase our perception and increase our awareness, change becomes inevitable because things become more painful the more we pay attention to them.
Yes. Well said.
So that's us with Sandler Training. You found your way here. Reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. But otherwise, be well, do good work. But otherwise, good selling and good luck out there.